I'm Gloria Cabral. Welcome to my home for the love of cooking. Come on in. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chef Gloria Cabral, and we will be doing some wonderful things. This is a time of the year where our fruits and vegetables are at their ripest, though sometimes we use frozen because cranberries, I'm going to show you how to make a nice cranberry sauce for the holidays, but cranberries don't come into season until October. These were frozen cranberries that I've had, and I'm just adding a little bit of water. And while I talk about this, I'm going to put this on the stove to start cooking. We will bring these to a boil until they pop. Canning is very important for many reasons. To learn how to can preserves all these wonderful fruits and vegetables, you want to be able to save some of what you've grown, be proud of what you have, and eat the best that you can eat. Different types of jars we use. I prefer using the made in USA jars and the lids, because the fancy lids that sometimes we tend to use because they look nice tend to rust when they come from other countries. But these have been, the ball jars have been around for hundreds of years, and we use them all the time. We have all different sizes depending on your needs. You can have a 4 ounce, 8 ounce, 16 ounce, and a 1 quart. And I would use this if I'm making a big amount of items. I use it sometimes for the relishes and stuff like that, or if I give them as gifts. When I tend to give gifts too, I like to give, depending on the size, I'll make all the different sizes. For if I have 1 or 2 people in a family, I will make a small amount, because then you don't want it to go to waste. And as the families are bigger, I will give them a bigger size with a basket of fruit and vegetables and other things. So it's part of my garden, it's the gift of love, and it keeps on giving. See, we'll be using these jars today. What's very important of using any of your jars is sterilizing them. They've already been washed in the dishwasher, and now they're sitting in pots in sterilized boiling water. So as I put my hot ingredients into them, they will be nice. And you don't want to keep any chance of bacteria growing, so you want to keep them moving and keep them nice and hot to kill all bacteria. While the cranberries are going, we're going to make strawberry jam. Some jams and jellies will have pectin. We add whether powdered pectins or the liquid pectins that we would use. The cranberries will have no pectin because there's a lot of natural pectins in cranberries and blueberries, so they will gel up on their own. Strawberries need a little bit of help, and the more you cook them, the more they tend to break down. In this recipe, we use exactly what the package says, because the packages were made to be very precise on how we would use things, and you want to make sure that you follow it correctly because they are tried and true recipes. Make sure you wash all your fruits. Oops, there go some strawberries. All your fruits very well. And what I did is if I take my strawberries, what I want to do is just take out the little bit. You can use what they call a tomato shock, which is like a tomato scoop, or just the tip of your paring knife. And what I'll do is I'll just put them in, take that little bit out. You don't want to cut across the whole top because then you tend to lose a lot of your strawberry. And then I just cut them up in small pieces. If you're making a jelly, you would use a juice. You could strain it out, which usually is puree your vegetable, then you strain it and use just the juice. If I'm using apple juice, I can use straight apple juice from the store, as long as it's pure apple juice, not with preservatives or all kinds of other things in them. And you can use that to make a jelly, which is clear. A jam has little bits of fruit in it. And you can make marmalades, which usually has the skins like an orange. It will be on the outside. It'll have the skin of the orange, or lemon, or lime, whatever you want. And conserves usually have nuts. So it gives you all these different little textures and flavors. You can put nuts in it. You can put bigger chunks, many different types of fruits. But you want to be able to have something to chew with. I like strawberry jam's my favorite. That's why we're making this one today. And this one calls for 5 cups of mashed strawberries. So what I do is I'm going to cut them first, and just with a potato masher, soften them up. If you put too much if you try blending it up, it'll be very cloudy and you won't have those nice little chunks that you like on your toast in the morning. See, nice and you look for the most flavorful fruit you can find. Sometimes you taste them and see if I eat it, it's not as good, it's not ready. Sometimes I'll buy some fruit and I'll let it ripen naturally, because in the store how they ripen it, they usually pick them green. And then they will let them ripen either naturally or through gases while they're in transportation. Or I prefer at this time is go to the local farm. And I grow my own vegetables, but not my own fruit. So I need to look for a local farmer. And here we have, around here in the South Coast area, we have a lot of nice farms who have great vegetables, great fruits that you can go to a farmer's market and get lots of them. We're just mashing. You don't mash it all at once. You mash about a cup at a time, because then you won't get them as good. What I'm doing is releasing the juices and just softening up the fruit a little bit. If I have extra when I'm doing this, I'll just leave it in the fridge, because I can always make a strawberry shortcake later. A lot of the cooking process will make this a lot softer. But this just helps in the flavor. Once you learn how to preserve any of your fruits for jams and jellies, then you learn to adjust flavors. And I make a blue raspberry, which was one of my favorites, which is blueberries and raspberries together. It tastes like the kids' candy of blue raspberry. Sometimes I'll add in a strawberry I've done with almonds or a little bit of amaretto to give a strawberry almond, or some nice mint when I'm making this, and just give it your special touch. And that's what makes it much more special. When it comes from you and it comes from your heart, it tastes so much better. See, this isn't that bad, but it smells wonderful. You can use, jams and jellies just don't have to be on toast and sandwiches. I can put them between layers of a cake. Sometimes I will make muffins, and I'll just put a little spot inside of a corn muffin, which is very good. So it's a surprise. There we go. And we're almost there. Once I get these all done, I'm going to measure this out. So I'm going to put the rest of this in here, because like I said, I only need 5 cups of it mashed. And let's see how, spatula, let me see how we're doing. And I'll tell you, gardens are a great thing. I love going out in my garden every morning and see what I have. We've kept the bunnies away from it. Oh, that looks good enough, so we'll put this aside. I'm looking at my stove, so I have to move my pieces around. So what I'm doing over here is I'm keeping all my jars nice and hot. They've been sterilized and boiled. I have my lids staying there. My cranberries are still cooking, so I'm going to put them back. And then we're going to get ready to make the strawberry jam. One thing you got to remember is make sure you have enough pots for all this, which I've just realized sometimes, that hopefully everything fits. Wonderful. Now with making the strawberry jam, you have to put the pectin and the mashed fruit together first and bring it to a full boil. And boiling means not just a bubble here, it's bubbling hot. So you gotta remember that's very, very hot to work with. And I'll mix it in a little bit to coat it as much as I can. And I'll cook it on medium to start the heat. Once it starts getting warmer, I'll see how it goes, and I have to keep stirring it because there is no water. I'm using the natural waters from the fruit. When that comes out, I have to add 7 cups of sugar, so that's a lot of sugar. So remember, when you're eating jams and jellies, there's a lot of sugar in there. And the pectin, which is usually from the apples, that's usually apple pectin, that will give us our gelling, and it firms up our jam and jellies to make it what we're used to. While the cranberries are cooking, this is called a food mill. And a food mill, what it does, it will grind it. So once they come to a boil and all the little skins burst off of there, I'm gonna put the cranberries in here, and what I'll do is I'll turn it around, and what it's gonna do is squish it. It's gonna keep up my skins up here, and I'm getting more of the jelly juice down here. If I want whole cranberries, I wouldn't even use this because I wanna see the berries once they popped. But my children and a lot of people aren't used to eating the skins, so we're gonna just make cranberry sauce. Once that comes to a boil, I'll just add the sugar. So now we're just gonna wait for things to heat up. Pectin it's a product that comes, a byproduct of apples, of certain fruits, and it's a gelling agent. And they come in liquid form and they come in dry form. Depending on the recipe and depending on the company that you like, is how you would use it. You always have to make sure you look for the expiration dates, and they always have one here, like this one is June 2015. So you want to make sure they're nice and fresh to hold your jams and jellies. Usually jams and jellies will last a few years. I mean, you can go to some of the older grandparents' house and maybe 10 years down the road it's there. I would suggest not to eat those. You'll see they get liquidy and whatever else. You always look at your jars when your jars, and I'll show you later when we clean them. Make sure when you fill your jars they're nice and clean, everything is clean. You don't want it if it gets any black around it, any leftover food, because it can create bacteria, and bacteria that can make you very sick or sometimes even kill you. So you have to be very careful in the canning process. It's important to learn these different techniques because, you know, we don't, like I said, we have an abundance of fruit sometimes, abundance of food, and how can we save them? It's great for gifts, but you never know, you may be somewhere and you need to do something, and now you have a skill of preserving food. And the cranberries have come to a nice full boil. You can hear them popping. And just be careful, remember this, we're working with everything, it's over 200 degrees, so you figure boiling of water is about 212, and when you're adding other things to it, the sugar makes it hotter. See, it'll mash it through. I'm getting some beautiful juice down the bottom. Doesn't that, oh, again, the wonderful smells. I love cranberry, is one of my favorite fruit because it's the time of the year it is. It's comes in the fall where it's a lot cooler than the hot summer where other fruits are in season, and Christmas and Thanksgiving. If you can see, we can put this in here. See the wonderful juices that we're getting. As it's all coming down, it's coming down thick. And again, because cranberries have lots of pectin, we're not putting pectin in this. And it will gel up with between that and the sugar. See? And I'll throw the rest of that liquid in to help all these berries go down. Depending on the size of the hole, these come with 3 different holes. What I did is I put the smallest hole so it takes a little bit longer because I want a finer grind. Usually I keep the cranberries afterwards, what's left, and I will dry it out and I will grind it up and make like a cranberry powder. Different things I use in different aspects of cooking. Don't put your pot in the sink yet because remember we got to put all our cranberries back in here and our sugar and cook it again. And it says cook to the jelly point, and the jelly point is 220 degrees. Or what they do is they say take a little bit, spoon it out, drip in a little water, and it'll be a jelly consistency, which is like a soft, in the softball stage area. That means the water consistency to everything else is just right. If you see as I'm squishing it one way, it tends to fill inside the holes. So when I go back, it just scrapes it up again. And it will grind it down. I can keep grinding this till I get as much as the pulp as I can. And all the skins will be really small. See how thick that is? And that's just the cranberries and water. to cook your cranberries with a little bit of cinnamon, maybe a couple cloves in there, and once it strains out, it'll be fine. It'll just have a little bit more flavor to your wonderful cranberry sauce. I keep mixing little bits because I don't want to have big lumps in there. Once this is all mixed, I'll put it on the stove to bring to the boil. Like I said, I'm going to cook it to the jelly stage. A nice full boil, and it cooks out the water to the consistency my sugar would be. So it'll tell me this is perfect for what I want. If I overcook it, I can burn it, or I can change the flavor, more of a caramelized flavor. If I undercook it, it won't thicken. It'll be too much liquid still inside. So I'll end up having a watery, more like a liquid sauce than a jellied sauce. Okay. And I'll put that back on the stove. Okay, let's see how our strawberries are doing. Okay, I use a probe thermometer for a lot of my cooking because this way my hands can be doing something else. I can watch it and I can set it to the timing I want, but I'm just going to leave it while I'm cooking. Oh, we're almost to a full boil here with the strawberries. I'll put it on a little bit higher, so if I'm watching it, I can pay attention. I can't put it on high and walk away because I can burn it. And later, all this foam stuff we'll take off later. We can skim it with this a tea strainer, because those are impurities you want to take out. You don't want to have all that foam. Some people put a little bit of butter or margarine into their jellies and jams at that point to reduce that, but the only thing is it takes shelf life away because you're putting a fat, and you don't really want to do that. Okay, good. This is good. What are the colors? The beautiful color of the cranberry, the difference in the raspberry, it's a softer pink, very nice looking. Remember, we eat with our eyes, and if it looks good, then you'll say, ooh, it should taste good, and hopefully it tastes good, and then you've hit a home run. Not that I'm a baseball person, but I can be. While these are getting ready to boil and cooking, I check on all my utensils I'm going to be using. You got to remember they're hot because I've been putting them in boiling water. Now they just have to sit. They've already hit over that danger temperature zone, so they can sit there and wait for me till I'm ready to start filling them. What I will do is I'm going to put all my containers here, and when I start putting into it, I put it on a cloth. First of all, it helps with the spills. Second of all, my house has granite, so if I put them and I hit too hard, especially because they're hot, and if this is cool, I can snap it. So I try to keep as little danger as possible. Even at this point, if I didn't cook it all the way till it became a jellied sauce, if I just cooked it a little bit till a boil and left it as a sauce, just think of that instead of to add with my berries, a cranberry blueberry sauce on with fresh whipped cream on shortbread. That would be wonderful. Or on a pound cake. Bring a little bit of fall into the summer. So now it's come to a nice full boil. I'm going to take this off. Now I have to add the sugar. Again, like it says, a little bit at a time so you don't get these big clumps. Whew, it is a warm day today in the summer when you're starting to cook. So the sugar's dissolving. And once this dissolves, I'm going to put it back on the stove and I'm going to cook it. The minute it comes to another full boil like you just saw, it's exactly 1 minute, and then I get ready to lay it into my jars. Look at this. You want to make sure all this is dissolved into there. This is like molten lava, very, very hot. There we go. You have to remember, when I put these on my countertops have a granite so they can take the heat. If you have microtops, please don't do that. Or you'll have big circles on them. We have 2 going at the same time, which is good. Just hopefully they don't have to be put in the jars at the same time. We have nice chunks of strawberries that'll be in the jam. And you keep stirring to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom or burn, especially if you have it at a higher heat. There you go. start doing, this is almost ready for a boil. You'll see there's a lot of the scum up top, so I can scrape some out a little bit at a time, and I put it into water so it rinses it out. But it's not ready to all the way there yet, so I'm gonna start taking my jars that I've been prepping. Everything is very, very hot, so use, if you need gloves, use gloves. Usually I put one hand with a glove to assist, and if I need the towel for the other. Though it's been clean, it's fine. This is to hold the jar. I can open it and close it to pick up my jars when I put them in and out of areas. That's so I'm filling it, and I'll show you when I fill it it's worth getting the right equipment for the right tools for the right job. And I never know which jars how many jars I'm gonna use. I always add more. Sometimes you see this was a used jar, so if you're using a used jar, make sure you have no chips on it or anything else. That can be scrubbed off later. If you're using old jars with the old rubber lids, please make sure you always buy new lids. I always use brand new seal lids, no matter what. Even though if they look good, I always want to have a fresh seal to make sure it's nice and safe. Like I said, I choose different size jars because of different things I want to give out as gifts. When I fill the jar up, I fill it right to the rim here, and it's perfect to the rim because once I lift it out, you want to leave only 1/4 of an inch on here around the edge so it goes down a little bit. So I'll fill it right up and it settles right 1/4 of an inch. It is now at a full boil. You skim off any of these impurities, which you could really even eat. It doesn't really matter, but not in the jam because it may make it cloudy. See, I can pay attention to my cranberry sauce at the same time because my thermometer has it telling me it's about 165 degrees. Now that it's boiling, I'll watch my clock. And it takes no time. My cranberry sauce is almost there too, so at the same time, I'm going to be going from one to the other. Hopefully, I will get this all set. Perfect. Make sure it's not. I can move it. It's nice and hot. Again, pay attention, this is still hot. And what I want to do is make sure I get just some strawberries because there's still a lot of jelly in the juice down below. So the first one gets as much as the last one. See those? You don't want a lot of air in there, so what I try to do is I just try to put in a minimal amount. Fill it right to the top. And I'll take a sterilized knife and loosen the air up. Okay. I want a lot of that sediment because air can cause bacteria and a lot of different things. Just by moving it around, I've already lost some of the space, so I can add more. There we go. I'm going to deflate some of that. We want to get some of that out of there. A lot of this we'll also do because from here, once they're all sealed, we put them in the hot water bath and we can it. But we'll boil it for 10 minutes, and it's a hot water bath for this, and it helps with a lot of this air to be coming out. It'll also leak out. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I have just enough on my edge. I think what I'll do is I'm going to use this to grab and get another big one. Maybe not. We'll try the other tongs. You have to kind of estimate how much jam and jelly you will have, so. Keep checking to make sure that air comes to the top. You can keep. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a wet paper towel and wipe all along that edge, so when I seal my lids, there's no jam juice or anything else. As you move it, the air deflates and it goes down. I can always give it a little bit more topping off. You don't want to leave a lot of space, but you don't want to leave you need it to have some expansion when it's heating up in the hot water bath. That one has a little too much. You'll have enough jam, and this is a small batch. This was only 5 cups of strawberries, and this is a year's supply of jam, or some gifts, or in some people's house, 2 weeks. Depends on how much you like jam and how much you like making it. And I'm looking to see how much I have, so I guess I have quite a bit more than I thought. So I'll take another. That's why I always, sterilize more than I need, because then I can always adjust. And sometimes I'm saying, well, I need this or I need that, or it's too much, or some of the leftover I'll save it for it, and I'll just put it right in a bowl and have it later on. Part of my lunch. A lot of times I'll make, at Christmas time, I'll make baskets and put some jams. I'll make a nice little pancake mix, a few different things, and a gift certificate for breakfast at somewhere. So it's a nice little gesture, and it's a fun little thing. Like I said, they're gifts from the heart. If I don't have a full container at the end, I just leave that one in the fridge. But this looks good. While I'm letting that sit for a second, I'm just going to rinse these, because I'm going to need them again for my cranberry sauce. Throw that back in my boiling water. What I want to do is make sure and I'm saying this one's a little low for me, so I'd like to save, and I'll put a little bit more in that. I could put a little bit more. And this one, like I said, it's not a full one. I'll leave in the fridge. I'll use it for tasting later. Leave a nice clean paper towel. Make sure all your edges are clean, sides are clean. Because what happens is, like it says, bacteria can get in there, get sticky. You always want to make sure it won't catch a good seal. I might have put a little too much in that one, but we can always work around it. Plenty of spoons. I think later on I'm going to let this cool and have a nice Jelly on bagel. Doesn't that sound good? Okay, and this will be mine for later. These have been sitting in hot water. They've all been boiled, and what I want a nice hot seal on that. Making sure everyone was brand new. See? Let me just take a peek at my cranberries, so they'll be ready to go when I'm ready to go. And I snug these on just lightly, because what's going to happen once they go in the hot water bath, they're going to be boiled, and so you want heat to escape. So let's move these out of the way. I never, like I said, I never save the covers. I can save these rims if they are in perfect shape. If they are not, throw them out. It's very inexpensive. Use this down there. I'm going to put these aside for a minute till I get ready to do my cranberries, and then I'll put them all in the same hot water bath. Okay, I'm going to go clean right now we're going to see, we're almost to where we want to be with the cranberries. I'm going to clean off all that a little bit. Let's bring that forward a little bit because it's very hot. And I'm going to clean off, see this one you'll see a lot more of the impurities, and they call it the scum or the foam. And I don't want that in my cranberry sauce. Now this cranberry sauce is going to be given to a friend of mine who has friends coming from Italy, and they want to understand what Thanksgiving is. So next week she's going to be making a Thanksgiving in August with her visiting relatives, because we remember Thanksgiving is an American holiday, and Europeans try to, enjoy our holidays with us, but they're learning how to, it's all history, how to, or why we do what we do. And we do it because we love to be with a group, we love to be with our family, we give thanks, and we love to eat. And that's one of my big things. One of my favorite holidays is Thanksgiving. So you can make it early and have fresh cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. All right, we are where we need. Let's see. I can feel how thick it is. It's getting nice and thick. This is, if it's too thin, it will not set up for you, and you'll have a sauce more than a jellied sauce. It's nice and thick. And the spoon test, like they says, you'll see how it's very liquidy. You still want it a little bit thicker than that. And you want to make sure, try to always use a thermometer, and our baking tools, scales if it says by ounces and pounds, and thermometers for right temperatures, and the right equipment. It'll make your life so much easier, because you don't want to go through all the expense to make this all the time and then it doesn't work. Okay, we've hit our 220. Let's take this out and shut this off. we'll get ready to put get our jars all together. When you plan on doing anything with jams and jellies or any type of preserves, what you try to do is do it all in one day, because it does make a big mess. As you see, I have lots of dishes here, and if I'm doing this, I will do all my fruits and then I'll do vegetables and I'll do relishes all in one day, so I have one major mess all day long. That's why a lot of people choose not to do these, because they would just run to the store and get that. But there is, as you see, in the jelly, no high fructose corn syrup, no additives. It is what it is, or the jam. Cranberry sauce and sugar. There's nothing, and water. We're not having anything that's artificial or anything else. This is just what it is. And that's the good part about it. The bad part is cleaning up afterwards, but it's much more, you know, when you're enjoying the food later, you'll be thankful. Okay. Remember, this is very hot. And let's put this. Put it in my biggest one first. And what a beautiful color that is. This one has less foam because the way it settles and it's thicker, so it was easier to clean. Again, I'm never sure exactly how many. You can guesstimate, so I had extra containers. I put them here. Ooh, that's hot. Then you figure the cost of this. This is was about 8 cups, which is, you know, a few pounds. There's 2 cups to a pound in cranberries, so that's 4 pounds. So we're talking a little bit more than going to the store and buying it in the cost-wise. Okay, I'm gonna get one more size out of there. But the flavor by far is much more superior. And the technique that you've learned how to do this, anybody can do this. And everybody should learn how to. There we go. I don't want it to overfill. Nice, perfect. See how nice and thick that is already? This is much thinner. Let's get our covers for it. And we're going to put them right back in the same pot that we had the jars in already. What we have to do is, once these are sealed, we put them in. The water has to be at least 1 inch over the tallest pot. I mean the tallest container. And then cover it, and once it comes to a boil, it boils for 10 minutes. And then we'll take them out. Nope, that's where it stays. It is so hot, it doesn't want to go on. Was there 2 lids on there? No, 1. Now this is where this comes in handy, because these jars are very hot. I try to put all the big ones first, and then I'll work my way down. If I didn't have the grippers, I'd be awfully hot in my hands. I'd be because then they have to come out again. Okay, now we're covering over all the containers. I'm going to leave this. Once it comes to the boil, I'll put it on 10 minutes and then we'll stop. And I'll clean up while it's going. Okay, we're getting close to the 10 minutes. See, the water's covered, it's boiling away. And then when it's ready, we'll just bring it all over here. That's why it says use the right tools, so you don't get burned or anything else. I'm not using any fancy, you can buy canning containers, they pull the whole thing out. I try to use certain tools I really feel I need. Other tools I don't buy because we don't need all the frills. Because there's only so much room in most people's kitchens to use. 7, see? Well, a lot of foam did stay on this, and that should dissipate. You'll hear air escaping from there, and that's just from the steam inside and sealing that. And that's what it was. You'll see these little bubbles here, and as it cools by a few hours, maybe anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours, you'll hear it pop, and this gets really tight. That means the air is escaped out and it's tight, and that's what you want. If you find that it stays with a bubble, refrigerate it. That means it didn't seal well, and it will only go bad if you store it. Some people tend to recan it and put it back in there, so you can hear popping. So this one here, one of these just popped. But I find it much better just to refrigerate it. You see right here, this one pops, so it's already indented in. And the glove's just helping me so I don't drop it or spill it. What I would do with these, with this extra, if these bubbles don't clear up, I tend to refrigerate it, or I will, see how it is. If it starts to ferment, it's no good. You have to make sure when you open these things that it smells good, it tastes good, and everything else. Sugar is a preservative. With a lot of sugar in here, it's a good thing. When you're making things without sugar, that's when you have to be very, very careful, like tomato sauces and things like that. I will let these cool overnight, and then I will tighten all these lids tomorrow, and I'll put labels on it so I know. And make sure you label them so you know what they are when you look at them or give them away. Because sometimes strawberries can look like raspberries, or cranberries can look like that, same thing. Or your different pickles or whatever else, they can be different flavors, dill or sweet. So once these cool, you can also cut up nice cute piece of cloth and maybe a pinked edge, which is like a zigzag, if you hear it pop. Then you take this off carefully, do not touch the lid, put that back, and then screw it back on, and you'll have your beautiful different jars and different flavors. There are so many other different ways and different flavors you can make jams. This is apple butter, which is just basically sugar and apple that's been cooked down to very thick on a little cream cheese. A wonderful strawberry jam, which we'll be setting up for the next 24 hours. And this was a cranberry habanero sauce, which I love, hot and spicy habanero peppers. And we added it into a cranberry jelly. So all I did is put that on a little cream cheese, a cracker, and it's wonderful. Labels, so you can put on your containers so you know which it is. You can, little piece of material and a little cloth. This is a blueberry jam, and this is our habanero, so I know it adds to that color. This is pumpkin butter, made the same way as apple butter. So your imagination, you can make all kinds of things. Use what you have, use what you can get, and enjoy. We do this for our family, our friends, and the love of cooking. Have a good day.